We are back on this massive pontoon boat. If you didn't watch the first episode, you should go back and rewatch that because we tell a lot of information in that episode. But if you're looking for a quick rundown, we got this 23-foot pontoon boat from pontoonwholesalers.com. Pontoon wholesalers are mainly known for their third pontoon kits. You take your normal pontoon and you install their third pontoon kit and create a tri-toon out of it. Very easy to install. It installs in less than 4 hours for a normal person. I had one on my first pontoon I rebuilt and I absolutely loved it. It made a huge difference, added a lot of buoyancy, made my turning radius a lot sharper. A lot of benefits to it if you are looking to do that. But for this boat, we are building one from the ground up. All 3 toons to make a big tri-toon. This thing got shipped directly to my house. I just had to take it out of the boxes and install it onto my trailer. And that is what we did in the last episode. We took it all out of boxes, put it on the trailer and lined it up how it's supposed to be. We mounted up the support beams and then we got the cross beams all mounted up. Well, not mounted up, we got them all lined up and ready to mount up. But there's one issue. We had to drill every single one of these cross beams and put them in the right spot. And I didn't have my flooring yet, so I didn't want to mess up and drill all these spots just for it to be off and have to re-drill it all. So I wanted to wait for the flooring to come in so I can get an exact measurement on where each floorboard is going to go. And luckily we have our floor in now, so we can go ahead and get that lined up. I already took off these cross beams and drilled holes into all of them, right where they need to be. I got it all measured out, drilled all the holes. Now we just need to line it up in each spot, mark it on the support beams, and then drill those holes. So we're gonna do a lot of measuring, some more measuring, and then triple check that measuring. So we have to drill once and get it right the first time. We need to get all this lined up and mounted up before we can move on to the next step, which there's a lot of things we gotta do in this episode, so let's get to it. Try to keep my balance. But it's all bolted on. Wasn't very hard, it just took a long time. Taking all these cross beams off, putting them in the garage, drilling all those holes, putting them back on, measuring out the right spots for them. I double checked the flooring to make sure it's all, I knew it was 4 foot by 8.5 foot, but just, I like to double check it just to make sure that it's all cut to the right size, because if that is messed up, then it's gonna mess up everything else. Once I got all that checked out, I lined everything up, measured it all out, 4 foot even, worked on the front area. I wanted to know how much overhang I needed on the front, so I went with 5 inches of overhang. I think that's plenty. I think that's a good amount and it looks the best. So 5-inch overhang on the front, and then I had to measure out the rest of it, all 48 inches, and then 16 inches in between all of those 2 bracings. Once I got it all lined up, I double checked it, triple checked it, measured it a bunch of times, making sure it was in the right spot. After that, I marked every single hole that needs to be drilled, moved it out of the way, and drilled all those holes. Started with a smaller drill bit, worked my way up to the 1/2-inch drill bit, and got every hole drilled. Bolted it all down, got it done. There's a tight squeeze in between the middle, but we got all that bolted down also. So this thing is 100% sturdy. Usually the next step would be installing the flooring, putting all the wood down, and then putting the actual flooring material down. But we got a few things to do before we can do that. And that has to do with a lot of wiring that we need to do because we can't get to it once the deck is on. Let me show you what it is. Now, along with these pontoon kits, Pontoon Wholesalers also makes gas tank and water tank kits that fit right into the pontoons themselves. Hides it underneath the deck, that way you never have to see it. They look awesome, but we need to hook them up before we put the deck down. To make it easier, you can do it with the deck already on, it just makes it a lot easier to do it now. There's not much wiring going to this, there's really only wiring going to the gas tank, but what we do need to wire up is some bilge tanks, and let me show you why. Now, Florida just recently had some hurricanes, so you can see these things are starting to pop up. You can see these things are filled with water all the way down there. So we need to get those out. Once the deck's down, we don't have to worry about any rainwater getting in there. The only water we would have to worry about is if it splashes up and somehow gets up underneath here. Install a bilge pump and you never have to worry about that. You can turn the bilge pumps on right before you go out, that way there's no water in there. So what we need to do is drain both of these tubes because they're both filled with water from the hurricanes and all the rain that we've had. Once we do that, we can install the bilge pumps and wire it all up. Right here's the bilge pump along with the plumbing kit that you need for it. Just hook it right up together, plug it in, just leave the wires down there and we'll figure out where to plug those wires in once we actually start installing everything. But this though, this is Pontoon Stuff's wiring kit. I use this for pretty much every single one of my pontoons. Even if the pontoon already has wiring, I usually just rip it out and start from scratch. Pontoon Stuff sells a full wiring kit that has everything you need for it, all the docking lights, all the navigation lights, everything you need for it. And it hooks directly up to their gauges and switches, so all you have to do is just plug it and run wires. Don't really have to do anything else. Makes it so much easier to wire up your boat and a lot less of a headache, which I really enjoy. A lot of this is gonna go underneath the deck, so I'm gonna go ahead and run it now, run it right in between the center tune, and leave the rest of the wiring there for whenever we need to get to it. I just want to run it now that we don't have to run wires with the deck down and can't really see anything. So lay this down, get it to where it needs to go, and then we can move on from there. So got a little bit of wiring to do, let's do that, and then move on to something else. We'll see. It may not look like much, but we got everything done we needed to and got a good game plan going for what we need done. also. Let me grab you and show you a little closer on what we did. Let me grab you. Let me grab the camera. We got the bilge pumps ran for both this one, for the gas tank and for the water tank. Both those bilge pumps are ran, pulled out so many gallons of water. It took a while to get all that out, but all ran now, all hooked up. I extended the wires a little bit, so we just have to hook it up to a switch and we'll be good to go there. And when I turn the bilge pump on, the wire's just gonna escape right outside this little nozzle port. Just drilled it right outside the pontoon. Good to go. Now, as for the gas tank and the water tank, they're not fully hooked up yet. I have the hoses and nozzle, everything all ordered. It's coming in, and then I will install that before putting the floor down fully. You can install that after the floor's down, but you just have to slide the pontoons out to be able to install all that stuff. So figured might as well do it now while the flooring's off. Easier for us, easier in the long run. As for this is gonna be my water tank. This is mainly gonna be a wash down spot though, but I could add so many different things to this. I could add a sink, I could add shower if I really wanted to. I can do so much stuff with this. Now as for the wiring, this may look like a crumpled mess, but this is all labeled stuff. And then this plug, this is just an extra plug. You unplug this and plug it directly into the switches and outlets for the pontoon stuff wiring harness. All the wiring is neatly ran through these hooks all the way up the side. I can keep it in the middle, I just don't want it to get all messed up and all this stuff, so attach it to the side right there. All the way down. Right side lights, left side lights, docking lights, all that stuff is already there and labeled. So all we have to do is hook it up. Easy going. Now obviously this isn't all the wiring. This is all the wiring you technically need, but we're gonna be running speaker wires, also a bunch of wires for accessories and whatever else we wanna add, LED lights, all that kind of stuff. That's all stuff we're gonna do later on. I don't even have any of that ordered yet, so we'll just have to take care of it then. We already have it mapped out though on how we're gonna run everything, so we're good to go there. I talked about this a little bit in the first episode, but didn't get into too much detail, but now it's time to install it. You may be wondering why the pontoons are this color. They are translucent plastic, and we are gonna be installing LED lights in them so they glow in the water. This is the first of its kind in the United States that I know of. I can't think of any pontoon company that actually does this. Most of the lights are just shining down into the water or shining down onto the aluminum pontoon, but you don't see any pontoons that light up themselves, which first in the world, maybe first in the world, definitely first in the United States, right here, right on Ultimate Rebuilds channel. Let me show you how you do it. Here's all of our lights, our mounting hardware, and our control module somewhere in here. These are the lights. Now you usually see these under the water on your boat. These light off on the back transom. I'll show a picture of what they usually look like, but they light up the water. They're super bright. You can change any kind of color you want to. It goes from white to blue, green, any kind of color on the rainbow. Here is the mounting hardware that comes from Pontoon Wholesalers. What you do to attach the light to it is you slide the wires right up in this hole, like so. The holes are already pre-drilled, so you just line up the holes and then put your screws in, you're good to go. Let me show you where these mount onto the pontoons themselves. There's gonna be one light per pontoon. We're doing all this side, all the outside, and one or two on the middle pontoon. Obviously you can't use these if you have your gas tank because it kind of gets in the way. You won't be able to light up the whole thing, but we'll be able to light up every single pontoon that you see. You're gonna go directly in the center as much as you can. Obviously there's gonna be some beams in the way, so you have to move it over a little bit if it's not directly in the center. But right here looks pretty good on this back pontoon. Right here is a mounting plate and it mounts perfectly right here. These LED lights are 2 inches in diameter, so you're gonna drill a 2-inch diameter hole right here. Attach all this directly on here, add some silicone around the edge, attach it on there and screw it in. And then you're done. And your whole pontoon will light up. Hopefully it's that easy. 6 LED lights on each side, the port side and the starboard side, and then we're gonna do either 1 or 2 in the middle, or maybe just the nose cone in the front, and then in the rear back here, we'll do 1 also. But first thing we're gonna do is take care of the sides first. And then maybe light them up, because I think it'd be really cool to see them, see them working. This is the Paco 3 digital lighting control. All you have to do is hook all your wires up to this thing directly, and then it all controls via Bluetooth. Or there's other options. If you have like an expensive GPS that has this option in it, you can also control your lights from there. We're getting into the exciting stuff about this build, all the custom work we're gonna be doing. I'm just really excited to show you guys how cool this thing is actually gonna be. So let's get these lights all mounted up and wired up, and then we can show you guys what it's gonna look like, hopefully in the daytime and at nighttime. We'll see how it looks. It's gonna be my first time seeing it too, so pretty excited. This might be one of the coolest things I've seen in a while, in a long time. This is way beyond my expectations. It is pretty crazy how bright it is. On camera it didn't show too well because it is LED lights, so they kind of flicker on camera. But in person, it lights up this whole backyard basically. I could see so far. In the daylight, you can kind of see it, but it's not near as cool as nighttime. When this thing is out in the water, it is gonna be, I don't even know how to explain it. It's gonna be so cool. I don't have the lights hooked up to the control system yet, so once it is hooked up to that, I can be able to control whatever color side I want. This side is all hooked up together, and then this side is all hooked up together. Same thing with the middle. The middle is hooked up to its own separate one. So if I wanted to, I could have this side as green and then this side as red, or have them change colors or work together. I can pretty much do whatever I want with that control thing. For the center pontoon, I have 2 in the front, nose cone, 1 in the middle, and then right in front of the transom I have 1 light also. I didn't have enough wiring for all that, so once that wire comes in, I'll be able to hook all that up and then run it to the same spot. This flooring lines up perfectly. It's not bolted down yet, obviously, because I'm still wiring up some stuff. Once I get all that wiring ran, then I'll be able to bolt this down fully. This flooring is from pontoonstuff.com. I got their whole 24-foot flooring kit, so it comes with the wood, the glue, the vinyl flooring, everything you need to install it all. I'm not going to install it yet. I'm going to wait till all that wiring's finished before I fully bolt it on. But I lined it all up, and it lines up perfectly. So I got everything bolted down in the right spot. I was kind of worried about that, but we're good to go. In the back here, you can see how much overhang we have. So I'll be cutting a little bit of this off, probably about a foot of it. And then I have another cross bracing that needs to go right here. It's just I can't go fully across because it's going to cut across the transom. So I'm going to have to cut that in pieces and bolt it on. All that will be next episode. I'll explain that better in next episode. And speaking of flooring, next episode we'll be bolting all this down, installing the flooring. I have a new design I'm going for. It's a little technical, a little complicated, so I'll be working on that next episode, along with showing you guys the seating for it and talking about a game plan for the back end here. And if we get the rest of my fencing in, then I will install that too. I also have an Instagram and a TikTok. You guys can check those out. I post behind the scenes on those platforms. Check those out if you want to. If you want more information on these light-up pontoons, you can check out the sponsor of this episode, which is Pontoon Wholesalers. Their link is in my description, along with pontoon stuff, their flooring and wiring harness. You can check that out too. You can check them out if you want. If not, you'll be seeing more of them in the upcoming episodes. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you in the next episode.